Hey everyone, welcome to today's live stream. We're going to talk about 7 critical mistakes that insurance agents make with their marketing. And these are things that we see over and over again working with insurance agents around the country. And the reason for giving you this information today is to help you avoid those mistakes. So let's go ahead and get ready to dive in. By the way, if you haven't scheduled a strategy session with us, be sure and do that. It's free of charge. You can do that on our website. So let's get into the first mistake. The first mistake is not having a plan. You would be amazed at how many insurance agents we talk with who are throwing money at marketing, but really don't have a plan, meaning they don't know what outcomes they're looking for. They don't know what return on investment they're trying to achieve. They don't know what their cost per lead is. They don't know what their conversion rates are. So they really have no plan. They're flying blind and they're just throwing money away, hoping that there's a magic bullet that's going to kick in and grow their agency. And it just doesn't work that way. You really have to have a plan. And let me just mention this, if you haven't already put together your marketing plan for 2023, be sure and visit our marketing plan webinar that we did the last couple of weeks of December. It is here on YouTube, and you can go through that. There's some downloadable materials there to really help you fine tune and dial in your marketing strategy for 2023. The second big mistake is treating marketing as an expense, not as an investment. I meet too many agents that are nickel and diming their agency growth because they treat marketing as an expense. When marketing is done right, it's an investment. You should know that for every dollar you spend on marketing, you're going to average a return of X many dollars coming back your direction. That's something you ought to be measuring. It's going to tell you what's effective, what's working. But again, it's an investment for growing your business. So part of this is knowing where do you want to grow your business to this year? How many new households are you wanting to add? How much new revenue are you wanting to add? And then working backwards from there to determine what's the appropriate investment to hit those objectives. Next thing is trying to do it all yourself. There's one thing that you're trained to do, and that's to sell and service insurance policies for customers who have put their faith and trust in you. Nobody's expecting you to become a marketing expert. Nobody expects you to fully understand search engine optimization and pay-per-click advertising and social media and all of those types of things. You're going to have to partner with people who have expertise in those areas. But not just anyone, not just your cousin Bob who studied marketing in college or runs a little web design agency. You really want to find experts who specialize in your field. And that's what we are here at Agent Branding and Marketing. We specialize in insurance agents. That's who we work with. That's who we market for. We understand the environment that you're working in. We understand your competition, and we understand the challenges that you are facing. Just as a side note, my background is in financial advisory work. So I also understand some of the compliance and regulatory issues that you are dealing with every day as you try to grow your agency. So what you want to do is find those strategic partners who can reinforce the areas that maybe are not your strengths and who can help you really push your agency forward because they are masters of what they do. Fourth thing, not answering your phones. Oh my gosh, let me pound on this one for a while. We have done some test traffic studies with agents around the country, and I was horrified at how many of those were dropping phone calls. In fact, one of the case studies we did that we worked with the agent to test some traffic sources, and a third of the phone calls coming into their office weren't even being answered, or they were going directly to voicemail, or in this case, because they were a captive agent, getting rolled up to the home office. That's a third of the potential business coming in that's not even being dealt with. So one of the things we've actually implemented as a rule here in our office is if we're working with an agency that does not answer their phones consistently, they get dropped as a client. There's no point in putting money into marketing. There's no point developing a strategy. There's no point in going through this planning process if you're not even going to answer the phone. So make sure that you're answering the phone. And let me, take this a step further. And this is our next mistake. Have a follow-up process in place. So let me give you another scenario here. There's an agent we were working with a while back, testing a traffic source. So we were listening in on the calls, and we were testing a generic traffic source. Now, they're a captive agency, but they were getting calls from places like Geico and Progressive, those types of customers. And so a prospect would call in and say, "Oh, I thought I was calling Geico." And the office staff would go, "Nope, sorry, it's not Geico. Have a nice day." Click. When the reasonable thing to do would just be to simply say, "Were you looking for an auto insurance quote?" Had they done that, they could have converted probably 30% of those phone calls. Missed business again. Here's the other part. Even if we're not talking that scenario, you need to have a formal follow-up process. When that caller calls, when that form gets submitted, when that email comes in, when that message comes across Facebook, what are the immediate steps that are going to take place? Our most successful agent uses a 12-step follow-up process. It is clearly defined. Everybody knows what happens next. Everybody knows who does what, and everybody knows what happens when. If you don't take the time to put a process in place like that, you are losing business out the back end. And let me explain to you the power of that. This particular agent, prior to implementing those types of steps in their office, was originally converting about 9% of their inbound calls into actual customers. Now that number is closer to 40%. So it makes a huge difference. You don't even need more volume. You just need to improve your process to improve the conversions behind it. Mistake number 6 is relying on corporate advertising to do all the work. Now, here's the truth. If you're a captive agent, or even if you're an independent and you represent, many different companies, and you're just relying on their advertising, make no mistake, their objective is to brand themselves. And if you get a piece of the action along the way, well, congratulations, you get a piece of the action. But the truth is, they're not concerned about promoting you above and beyond any other agent in your market. And especially if you're captive, this is so critical because your biggest competition isn't the agents from the other companies, it's the agents from your company. And so you've got to begin to brand and promote yourself. You've got to figure out how to make that work. And that comes to our last mistake here. Mistake number 7, probably the biggest one I see, is not creating a unique brand for yourself and for your agency. You have to remember, people do business with those they know, like, and trust. And so what you're having to do in your marketing is you're having to help people get to know you, get acquainted with you, find out what it is that you're all about. They've got to decide they like you. And part of the way they decide they like you is they're asking the question, are you like me? Do you understand me? Do you have similar interests and things that you're involved in that are similar to the things that I do? And so if you are making yourself known, if you are giving people reasons to like you, then that brings about the third thing: they trust you. And when they trust you, they will trust you to handle these decisions. They will trust you with their insurance business. They will trust you with their financial planning. They will trust you with all of these other things. You will become a go-to expert, somebody that they depend heavily upon. But you have to remember, in today's environment, especially with millennials, especially with Gen Z, they're not as concerned about meeting with you face to face. They'll do business with you from across the country. All they want to know is there a live person on the backside of that transaction that they can talk to? And most importantly, is it somebody that they know, like, and trust? Here recently, if you watch the replay of our webinar, you'll hear me pose a question to one of our agents that we work with. Why you? What makes you different? And he began to share all of the, if you will, company lingo. We do this, 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 and this. And I said, great, everybody does. What makes you different? So anyway, there's a few thoughts for you today. Hope you find this helpful, and we'll talk to you soon.